Welcome back to another youth-centered podcast. We're very excited today to have two guests that epitomize what friendship is all about. We have the famous Kelly Murphy and the famous Alyssa McNaught, who are going to come in and talk to us about their lifelong friendship. And I've had the opportunity to see some great pictures of when they were real young all the way up to now. And obviously, it's not usual that kids stay as close of friendships from their entire life, and these two definitely have. So we're going to talk about friendship. We're also going to talk about doors closing and new opportunities opening, and we're going to talk about their careers here at the Youth Center, and then a very major announcement, first done on this podcast today. So first of all, welcome to Kelly Murphy and Alyssa McNaught.
Thank you for
Thanks for having us.
Obviously, we like to let our guests do their own introduction because I don't know if you'd trust me to do my introduction of you two. Obviously, you're very close to us here, so we could turn this into a very comedy act if we wanted to. But I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself to maybe the one or two people in North Andover that don't know who you are. So let's start with Kelly Murphy. Who is she?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Murphy. I'm a senior at the North Andover High School. And I've been working at the Youth Center for a little over 2 years now.
And Alyssa McNaught, who is she?
Hi, my name's Alyssa McNaught. I'm also a senior at the high school, and I started working for the Youth Center in June of 2019.
And you guys have been doing a great job here. You're two of our all-time favorites. We did announce right before Christmas that Ava Salmonuk is our Youth of the Year, but I want to let everybody know that our two guests today were in the running for the Youth of the Year for all the stuff that they do for us at the Youth Center, and it was a very, very tough year, and obviously Ava a very worthwhile recipient, but I do want to put a plug in that these two were definitely in the mix for that, for all the great things they do for us. So, girls, thanks for coming on the podcast, and as I said at the beginning, we're going to talk a little bit about, first of all, friendship. So I got a kick out of seeing this first grade picture of you two. And I've always heard for, ever since you guys started here about like, oh, we've been friends forever. We've been friends forever. And, sometimes I hear that from kids and I don't even know if they even know what friendship really means. But with you guys, you are nearly never separated. Pretty much with all the programs you do here, you're always by each other's side or whatever. So I saw this picture, had to have been like 5 years old, 4 years old, something like that. So when did you guys first meet each other, and what was it like back in those early elementary school ages?
So we met in first grade in Mrs. Edwards' class at Sargent Elementary School. But before that, our older brothers were really close friends and still are. So I think we were just kind of meant to be friends from there.
Did you guys live near each other?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Okay. Alyssa, what's your first recollection of this person named Kelly Murphy?
My first memory of Kelly is actually a funny one. We were in our first grade class, and Kelly was tipping back her chair, but she tipped it too far. And then the desk ended up falling on
Yeah,
the desk ended up falling on her. And that's my first memory of Kelly.
And that's a lasting memory for sure. I also heard early on, and I did need some confirmation from the parents on this, is it true, Alyssa, that you once locked Kelly Murphy's father, the very popular builder in town, Kevin Murphy, you locked him in some place and he couldn't get out?
I think I locked him out.
She locked me and my mom out of our house.
Yeah.
And just sat there laughing at us.
Oh.
But I don't remember doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad person.
It was a phase.
Yeah.
So was she a cruel kid back then, Kelly?
There's a few memories for sure, but more pleasant ones that outweigh. That's why we're still friends.
Well, when I heard that story, I was surprised because Alyssa, you are seriously one of the nicest people we have here at the Youth Center. So if that was a short phase, I'm glad you grew out of that phase.
Short-lived.
Yep.
I'm glad Kelly's mom and dad were all set with that too. So, take me through your friendship. What was it like growing up in those, primary years of grades like 1 to 5?
Yeah, well, we would pretty much hang out like every day after school. Kelly has like a huge yard, so all of our friends were always at Kelly's house. And like during snowstorms, like we would always go to Kelly's house. And we did sports together. We did cheerleading in elementary school. We did field hockey and volleyball together. And yeah, we've just like always done stuff together, and we've stayed close through all of it.
Yep.
So you guys obviously have a number of friends, but, you know, as you kind of went through elementary school, you still were always connected. Would you have said at that point in time in elementary school that you guys were best friends?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure. Interesting. So take me to middle school. So middle school is when we first get to know you, and I have to vaguely go back and look at some pictures to definitely remember you guys as middle school. But I actually think, Alyssa, didn't you go out with Brett Dunham in the middle school?
I did go out with Brett Dunham in middle
The
school.
famous Brett Dunham, heading off to Northeastern for baseball next year. So that was, I guess, Alyssa's first crush, or vice versa, or whatever. So what was it like being friends during middle school years? So, you know, as you know, middle school years is really tough. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. You're kind of really figuring out who you are. You know, body's changing, you know, lots of things change around, you know, just what your interests are and stuff. And that's when I kind of see a lot of, like, friendships that were probably very strong in the elementary school kind of go in a different direction. Some stay as close friends, other kids find new interests, new groups, and things like that. So how did the Alyssa Kelly relationship continue through those formative 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years?
So we definitely stayed friends all through middle school. There was different periods of time where we had other friends, but me and Alyssa always like stayed in touch. I think that's because, again, we were doing sports together. We had some classes together. And I think, was it 6th grade that you started coming up to the lake?
Yeah, I was in 6th grade because I wouldn't sleep over
yeah,
before
Alyssa
that.
didn't do sleepovers before that. So during the summer, we spent like pretty much every summer together. She would come up to New Hampshire with me and my family like all the time. So, yeah, we stayed close through middle school. It still does, yeah.
For like 7 summers in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, obviously we talk a lot about, I have to work the schedule around so Kelly can have every weekend off, starting with Friday, so she can go to her lake house. But you guys have obviously spent a lot of time up north with Kel's family. So in the middle school years, what were your interests when you were in middle school, besides just hanging out in Kelly's big yard or going to the lake house? What were some of the common interests that you guys had back then?
Well, we both played volleyball. It was kind of like, when I got to high school, I had to choose between field hockey and volleyball, and it was a tough decision because I wanted to play volleyball with Kelly, but I also really liked field hockey. So we always had that in common, and I just feel like middle school was a lot of school sports and then coming to the youth center.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, in the beginning of middle school, we were still in our like cheerleading phase. So we would like make up dances, and we were pretty creative. Did like arts and crafts with like duct tape and stuff like that. So
would you call your middle school years fun years, and experimenting with different things in a good way, like having fun, like you said, on the cheerleading stuff, playing sports, obviously spending a lot of time at each other's house, etc. Mm-hmm. So then you graduate 8th grade and you become these big high school kids. It's amazing to me that you've continued. What's it like being friends together now for the last 4 years being in high school?
So I think we originally entered high school with kind of different friend groups. Like, we were obviously still pretty close, but I think probably around sophomore year, end of freshman year, we kind of all the girls had the same big like boy friend group, so we kind of all merged. So now we have pretty much all of the same friends. So we're always together like whenever it's possible. So again, we've stayed close. We don't play the same sports anymore because neither of us play sports anymore, but we still have the youth center in common, and we both are in the MVP program, so we still spend a lot of time together. Yeah,
we're going to talk about the MVP in a minute too. So Alyssa, when you talk about your friendship with Kelly, you're also part of what Kelly just mentioned, a pretty large friend group, which I actually think I hire most of them, most of them I mean are working for us. What has that been like? Because you seem like a very close group. I know a lot of you go up to Kelly's lake house. I know a lot of you do things. You do have that boyfriend group too, which I think, led by our famous Tommy Cox and a number of other people. With the fact that you all have a great large friend group, your friendship between yourself is still something that's extremely strong. Were there difficulties during high school years with maintaining that closeness, or was it always there, Alyssa?
I think if anything, we've gotten closer since high school started, like from freshman year to now. In our friend group, like we're all just like fun-loving people. Like we're not like dramatic or problematic. So it's never like too serious. We just always like have fun. We're always laughing, and I think that that's important in like maintaining a friendship, like not taking everything too seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I like about let's give a shout out to mention that crew of girls. That's just a very close group of them. Give me those names.
So our closest friends are probably Sophie Zamorowski, Ava Samanuk, like you mentioned before, Maddie Sweeney, and Leah Towler.
That's your big crew, and then obviously you cross other lines too with my famous Dion girls,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything
Kaylee
else.
Regan and the
Kaylee Regan, all of that crew, just really good kids too. So it has been amazing to me that you guys continue to be the common norm with friends, and you know, it's kind of a joke around here about like how close you guys really are. And if you know Kelly's coming, is Alyssa coming with her, vice versa on that. So let's talk a little bit about doors closing and new doors opening. And there was a time when you guys obviously were involved with the youth center, and there was potentially some interest in working for us at the youth center here. And both of you were playing sports. And Kel, you chose not to play the sport that you were playing at that time, and a lot of people wanted you to continue to play that sport. And Alyssa, you were involved obviously in a sport that you would have liked to continue, and you got the real tough news one year in the fall that you didn't make the team, or you weren't going to make the varsity, and you had an opportunity to play JV or whatever. And I know we had a conversation after that. So, you know, what was it like with choosing or having the choice made for you with some doors closing, that this new door of the youth center opened for you? Talk to us a little bit of what that's been all about.
Yeah, so I used to play 3 sports, all 3 seasons, and I played winter and spring sports in order to stay in shape for my fall sport, because my fall sport was my main one. And then when I didn't make varsity on my fall sport, it was sad at the time because I really loved playing that sport. And then I wasn't going to play my other 2 sports because I didn't make that team. So then I texted Demi. I was late, like she had already hired the full fall staff, and I texted her and saw if she had any room, and she texted me back, and I came and I met with you. And then I think that was like my first day here. I was like folding fall ball shirts in your office. And it's just like, kind of crazy to think that I went from working 1 day a week here to now working 4 if you include baking on Monday nights. But I was so sad about that sport at the time, and now looking back on it, I love working at the youth center more than I loved playing that sport.
Yeah, and obviously it was really tough for you, because when I met with you that day, so as everybody knows, Demi kind of does like the pre-screening of, you know, what we need, because she does the schedule, and then, you know, ultimately I meet with the people to see if we can bring them on board. And, you know, you were, you know, I'm going to say it, you were slightly devastated that you were not going to be able to continue playing the sport that you loved. And you were looking for a new opportunity, and obviously we look at things in hindsight, and you said it right now that might have been the best thing, you know, in your decision to make that, because you've been here. Even though it was a tough decision, you know, it opened up, and I think you started out in 1 day a week, and then, you know, one of our main people here during the summer and the fall, in the winter and in the spring. So, Cal, how about you? You're a little bit different because you made the personal choice to end playing a sport and try to grab on here at the youth center. What was like that for you?
Yeah, so I started working at the youth center, I think, late winter of my sophomore year, and I was still playing volleyball at the time. The season had ended, but when I started here, I actually had a boot on my foot, and I think my first day was on crutches because I had broken my foot playing that sport. So when I started the winter here, I had no intention of quitting volleyball. I hadn't even thought about it. And then as the year progressed working at the youth center, I realized that I was enjoying spending my time here a lot more than going to practices and games. So I ultimately decided to not play the next year and to continue working at the youth center.
So you're blaming us for that decision there?
I'm
because
not blaming anyone.
Yeah, we get it. So sometimes, and I think you guys know, we have a lot of athletes that work for us, and we have a lot of non-athletes that work for us. And it's, you know, it's people that are not playing the sports that end up probably working for us all through the year, whereas the sports people play usually the season they're not playing. And obviously you guys have been great. And I remember when you first started, you were clearly, some of the younger workers we had here. And now fast forward now, you're definitely, you two are two of our more seasoned workers. So tell me a little bit about in the summertime, which is different than the winter and the spring and the fall here. You guys were involved with the new program called Girl Got Game, and you just finished your second year working in that program. Tell me a little bit about the program, why you liked being on the program, and anything else about GGG.
So the program's awesome. It's still pretty small, still in the beginning years, but I think that allows for us to make better relationships with the girls that do come. We've had a lot of returning girls, so we've made really close relationships, and the staff as a whole, we're also pretty small, obviously. So we've all become pretty close. We're all good friends outside of the program as well. So we all work really well together, and it's just a good environment to be in.
What was Triple G like for you, Alyssa?
My first year working at Girl Got Game, I came in a week late because I was on vacation my first week, and I kind of felt like nervous that I wasn't going to connect with the girls because I was like a week behind. But then by the end of the summer, I was like so close with all of them, and then seeing them in the building throughout the year, it's just like we have this strong connection because we're such a small camp. And like all the staff and all the kids were really all so close.
Yeah, and you guys have done a phenomenal job, and it is one of our smaller programs, but it's growing. First year, we were out in the baking sun of McAvoy Field. Last year, we had indoor facility at the middle school gym, and then also used the middle school fields, which was really good, and the program is continuing to grow. I have a phenomenal staff down there, led by Molly Malandrino, was obviously our coordinator last year. Before that, it was Taylor Landers. And we've had, you mentioned Sophie works for us. The Dion's Time 2 work for us. Emma Driscoll works for us. You two, who am I missing? That's the crew, right? It's kind of a small crew, and hopefully the crew is going to get even bigger because we're hoping more girls are going to be part of the program. And for people listening, Girl Got Game is a summer 6 or 7 week program, depending how long our summer is. It is for girls in grades 6, 7, and 8. It's kind of an alternative to our boys-led sports and rec program, but we do have some girls at sports and rec. But this is more a lot of the same type of things we do at sports and rec, but maybe a little bit of a less competition piece of it. But it's a really good program. Kids love it, parents love it, and you guys do a phenomenal job. We're going to talk a little bit more about the future of Triple G in a minute. So, girls, as you think about your relationship and your friendship, which now goes back, I saw those great pictures. Tell our listeners or people that are interested in knowing about friendship in general, how does a friendship last as long as it does? Like, what are the secrets that you two know that keeping a friendship together, which is going on now, over 7 or 8 years?
So obviously when me and Kelly were in elementary school and middle school, everyone's a little bit dramatic, so we may have gotten in like bigger fights than we do now, but during our 4 high school years, we haven't gotten in fights, and like, sure, we disagree on things, and we like have civil conversations about that. We either end up agreeing with each other or just agree to disagree, but we don't take things too seriously. We don't overreact about anything, and we just have so much fun together. Like, we're laughing 90% of the time we're together. So I think that's important, like not taking things too seriously.
What about you, Cal? What are the secrets of a long-lasting friendship?
I agree. I think, me and Liz love to have a good time. We're always laughing. But genuinely, I think that, like Alyssa said, like, we don't really disagree on much because I think we are so similar. But like she said, when we do, we can agree to disagree. I think maturity is a big thing in friendships because obviously we didn't have that in elementary and middle school. So we did have like bigger disagreements than they should have been because, like, as a young girl, you make the little things into a big thing, like, kind of for no reason. So I think that we've definitely grown out of that. We've learned how to like deal with issues that come up, and I think that's like the most important thing is to just like get through the little things because they're not that important.
They're not that big.
Mm-hmm.
Are your parents and your friends surprised with how long this friendship's gone on and how really close you two are?
I don't think anyone's surprised
Yeah.
by it. I mean, all of our friends, like, we've been friends with a lot of the people that we are now for a long time as well. So I think no one's really surprised by it, and our parents know each other pretty well at this point, obviously. And like, both of our families love each other. I don't think it's a big
Yeah.
surprise to anyone that we've stayed friends this long.
It's
Ye-
also kind of the same case for our older brothers. Like,
Mhm.
they could be surprised about them too because they've been friends since like first grade, and now they're both 21 and 22.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They've always been close friends too,
Yeah.
which is interesting on that. So everyone talks about the class of 2020 last year and how we needed to obviously and justifiably do a great job with the end of the year for them, and having a parade for them and all of the things we needed to worry about. But I always said to people that the grade that we're going to have to worry the most about is class of 2021. And this is no disrespect to class of 2020. Awesome kids, awesome grade, awesome what the community and we all did for that class. But I think people sometimes forget that the class of 2020 had the most normal senior year up until March 13th. Obviously, the world changed on March 13th. That's when we shut down and school shut down. And then obviously they had a crappy senior spring year. And this year, so that you were juniors at that time, and then obviously this year, we've had a crappy senior year. Your whole year, you weren't able to go to homecoming dance and Friday night football games and basketball games and dances at the school or whatever. And my hope is that you will have more of a normal senior week, maybe even a prom, graduation than the class of 2020 has. But when we look at this, that you've been now dealing with a pandemic for a year, so the back end of your junior year and now at this point through your entire senior year, how has the pandemic affected your friendship in either, the good or even the bad on it?
I honestly think we've probably become closer over the pandemic. Back in March and April, when it was super, super bad and everyone was in a very strict lockdown, I mean, we FaceTimed or had a Zoom with like all of our friends pretty much every single day because we were all just super bored and wanted to stay in touch. So we did that. And then once it was okay and we like kind of made this plan, we started doing like socially distanced hangouts where we would sit in our in the trunks of our cars in a circle and sit in the freezing cold with blankets wrapped around us just so that we could like be together. So I think it was important for us, like all of us, to stay in touch, and we did that pretty well. So
How about you, Alyssa?
I think the pandemic and being in a strict lockdown made me realize how much I rely on my friends for like you don't realize how much you see your friends until you can't see them. So like going from seeing my friends every day at school and then at work and on the weekends to not being able to see them at all was definitely really hard. But I think that it only made our friendship grew stronger because we were all able to get through that and come out still being good friends and even closer friends because of FaceTiming and texting all the time.
Absolutely. Both of you were part of the amazing 150-person masked superheroes last summer, as you were part of something that we pulled off, which we have been statewide and actually nationally recognized for what we did last summer. And you guys were a big part of that at Girl Got Game. Kel, you were part of the original think tank, which actually helped plan summer 2020. And what was it like being part of that whole experience, which was a lot of emotions, fear, obviously scared about, are we doing things right? Can we do this? The joy of actually helping kids with their social and emotional. What was summer 2020 like for you guys down at Girl Got Game?
So I think going into the summer, I was definitely excited, but I knew that it would be different, and I thought it would be different in more of a negative way. But when the summer actually got going, I ended up having so much more fun than I thought that I would, and even more fun than I did the first year of Girl Got Game, like without the pandemic. And I think that we just have a great group of middle school girls who some people categorize middle school girls as being really difficult, but they're honestly such great kids, the girls we have at Girl Got Game, and they're all respectful of us and listen to the rules, so it wasn't difficult to manage all the safety precautions and guidelines.
How about you, Kel?
I agree, and I think especially having a smaller group of girls, it was easier for us to manage because we were kind of all able to like see what was going on with all the girls. So if anyone wasn't following the rules, which was honestly very rare, we were able to correct it pretty quickly. All the girls listened really well, and they're all pretty respectful, so it wasn't too bad. And I think especially in cohorts, like Alyssa said, I thought that the summer was going to be negatively affected by the pandemic, but I honestly think the idea of cohorts and like this summer, it made our camp a lot stronger and brought the girls together in like new friend groups and introduced the girls to a lot of new people.
Yeah, it was truly an amazing summer, and obviously you know how much love I have for you two, and along with the other 148 people that pulled off the summer that no one ever thought we could pull off. So now we start your senior year. We've talked about a little bit the difficulties, obviously, with the pandemic. But as seniors, you've taken on bigger roles here. Kelly, you've always been, along with Alyssa, you've always been working the front desk, which I think is the hardest job here. Probably a little easier during the pandemic because people aren't in and out of the building like they usually are. But you've taken on that. And, Kelly, you're running your own volleyball program here, taking some of the skills that you had when you played the sport, etc. You've been involved with other activities. You were our lead counselor down at Girl Gut Game last year. And Alyssa, you obviously, like I said, front desk. You've been beloved during the fall. You had a group of girls that followed you around like Pied Piper. And now you are the famous baker. You have been doing some Zoom baking classes, which are sold out. And I'm definitely betting money on that you're going to have your own program on the Food Network. So make sure you remember us when you get famous. What's it been like taking on more of a leadership role where Rick and Demi and Kyle and Asia and Lauren aren't telling you specifically what to do, but almost delegating you to run your own programs? What's that been like?
I think it's been manageable, but I think I've honestly really enjoyed getting to take part in a bigger leadership role. Running your own program, you kind of have more freedom in what you want to do and how you want to handle the kids, just day in and day out, what you want the program to look like. So I think it's been really fun, like kind of organizing and seeing how the programs play out by yourself.
What about you there, Betty Baker?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing baking and just hanging, and then 2-person academic and games in the fall. And I think that, like Kelly said, like we have more freedom to do what we want, but also running these programs is a lot more responsibility, which I think that we've both handled well.
Yeah, you guys have done an amazing job, and I've said it a number of times in this podcast. You're two of the top people that we have that we trust that can do different things, and you have not disappointed us at all. So let's talk a little bit about the future. The friendship has been going on, pretty much a lifelong friendship, and my joke to both of you was, oh, you're obviously going to apply to the same schools together. And I was actually shocked that you really weren't. So what does the future hold? We'll start with you, Kelly. You're going to graduate in June. Both of you will graduate. Hopefully it'll be more of a normal graduation this year. Hopefully you have a senior week activities, and we have youth appreciation day down here and everything else. But what does the future hold for Kelly post-June?
Post-June. So next year I definitely plan on going to college. I'm not 100% positive where I'm going yet, but my top choice right now is looking like the University of Delaware. So I really loved it when I toured the campus, and it's really, really pretty. But yeah, I actually didn't apply to any schools in New England, so I'll be pretty much out of here in August.
Kind of like Garrett. You'll be leaving here, and you're going to maybe going for the Delaware Blue Hens, right? Awesome. What do you think you want to study? Do you have any idea at this point?
My major right now is set as communications, and I think I'm going to minor in marketing.
Good for you. So, Alyssa, I guess I was wrong. You guys aren't heading to the same school. What's the future hold for you post-June?
I'm definitely going to be going to college. I just have no idea where yet. I haven't heard back from majority of my schools, so I'm not going to know until like March, April. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be going to college. I'm going to miss Kelly because we didn't apply to one similar school, but I'm sure we'll visit each other.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Do you know what you want to study in school, Alyssa?
I think I want to study psychology or cognitive science.
Whoa, all right. Good job. And you'll probably have your own baking show on the Food Network, right?
On the side, yeah.
On the side. Very nice. All right, so, we talk a little bit about, friendships in general. So if you listen to people that get up to be my age, your parents' age, etc., people will tell you you're lucky to have, when you get to our age, that you have 4 really good friends. And you guys are a large friend group. How am I to believe that you two will continue this long friendship after you go to college and beyond? Do you think that will stress your friendship? Do you think your friendship will only become stronger? I don't know if you'll both end up in North Andover down the road, but, Kel's leaving New England. You may or may not leave New England for school. Where do you guys see your friendship going, again, as a future?
I honestly see me and Alyssa staying friends for a really long time. I mean, since we were little, we've talked about, as little girls do, we're going to live in houses next to each other and our kids are going to be best friends and all of that. But I honestly think, middle school and elementary school, girls can be so mean and so dramatic. And I think that if our friendship has survived that and a pandemic, I think we are set.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree, Gliss?
Yeah,
I actually would be willing to bet that you will defy a lot of the odds, and you guys, even if you don't live next door to each other or even in the same town, there's just too much of a closeness between you two to just have that fall off the face of the earth. And obviously, we here at the Youth Center hope you guys always stay friends, because you are kind of fun to watch around here. I mean, I see pictures. You dress the same way. You kind of even act the same way. You laugh at the same. And I'm very impressed that you both laugh very hard at my stupid jokes. So that's always a big thing for me too. So time to make a huge announcement here to the public of North Andover. So on Christmas Eve, and I purposely picked this day, brought you two in the morning before you went off to your family Christmas celebrations. Brought you in. You didn't know why you were coming in, and what was that conversation all like?
I honestly had no idea what to expect coming in on Christmas Eve. When Rick asked to see us on Christmas Eve, I was very confused. I was like, what would be so important that he needs to see us today? And then when he gave us the news, I was so excited. I had honestly really hoped that this would come true and this would be a reality for this summer, so I was very excited to take on this role.
Well, everybody's anticipating. What was the decision?
Right. So this summer, me and Alyssa are going to be the 2 coordinators of Girl Got Game.
So, Alyssa, how about the same question to you? We bring you in, and you probably thought you were in trouble or something, right?
Oh, yeah. Whenever, I got called into your office the other day, and I'm like, what did I do? Even though I can't think of anything that I did, I just assumed
God, I get a bad rap on that everybody thinks if you got to go to Rick's office, you must be in trouble. I do have really good news usually to say to people. And so what was it like for you on Christmas Eve morning?
I definitely wasn't expecting that news. I had no idea why we were coming in. And when you said it, me and Kelly just looked at each other, and we were just smiling so big because we love Girl Got Game so much. This is such an amazing opportunity that you guys are giving us, and it was a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, and that's purposely did it on that day, and I wish I could have taped the reaction of both of you. So there was a lot of emotion of obviously your goofy laughing and everything, but you could make a case that your eyes were swelling up too, that this was a big thing for you guys. So let me tell the public how this came about. In first year of Girl Got Game, Stonehill grad Taylor Landers was our first coordinator. She had just graduated and was going to teach down the Cape, so she did not come back for year 2. And we actually brought on our longtime, she does 9,000 things here, Molly Malandrino, who's a guidance counselor at Lawrence High, who actually most people know runs all of our Christmas drive and our Thanksgiving drive here. We kind of asked her to come back, especially during the pandemic, to take over and kind of coordinating. But the whole goal back then was to try to mentor, in a lot of ways, both of you. But Kel, you were given the position of lead counselor last year, which was kind of like an assistant to Molly. And then, obviously, Molly and I had a big conversation after Thanksgiving, and Molly, obviously, as a mother of a young child and with school and buying a house in North Andover. You know, she was not going to have the time. So we talked about, like, who do you bring in? And I'm not a big believer of bringing somebody from outside the program in. Let's see what we have inside. And she was really a big pusher for both of you to be named co-coordinators. And she made a very good case of why you guys, despite being unbelievable best friends, why you both would work well together. She talked a little bit about some of both of your strengths and some of the areas that probably both of you need to get a little bit better with. The only concern I have for me is we don't really make coordinators kids who just graduated high school. It's usually the other way around. It's more like you graduate college and maybe you get a coordinator. But you know the program. You were actually actively involved with designing the program. And obviously the kids love you, and you know you work very closely with a great group of people, which we already talked about. Both our Dions, Soph and Emma, and there could be some new people there this year also. So we're very excited about this decision. You know, I think you guys can take this to a whole new level. Both of you will be on this year's think tank, which will be starting up in March, to help plan the program. So. Since your announcements, I actually told you couldn't say anything until February 1st, and you guys held your bargain to that. But, you know, obviously you guys have been together. Any ideas you want to throw out that you might be thinking about how to take Girl Got Game to a whole new level?
I'm not sure. I think that it's going to be a great summer just because the 6 staff, we all work so well together, and we all... even if we don't agree on things, like, it all ends up just working out, because we all know each other very well. Yeah, what do you think, Kelly?
I think pretty much like everything Alyssa said. I think it's going to be a great summer. I think it'll run pretty smoothly. Me and Alyssa are both pretty mature for our age, I'd say, so I'm not really worried about being on the younger side of coordinators. And I think, like Alyssa said, like, we're super close with the staff, so I don't think we'll have any issues, and we'll obviously be very opening to any newcomers if that's
Yeah, I mean,
possible.
you know, I don't know if I agree with the mature thing you said,
Whoa.
but no, I'm only kidding. Both of you are very mature for your age. The other decision was it was easier knowing that we have such a great group coming back of staff that all respect you, that we don't have any issues with that. So biggest thing for you guys are going to be is working with me this spring to get the numbers up. You know, we still had 50-plus girls last year during the pandemic, but our ultimate goal by year 3 was to have over 100 girls in the program, and that will be my goal again this year. So you guys will have to be doing some work for me. We'll have to be creative because the middle school's not in session per se. There's hybrid method. I don't know if we'll be able to go down to the middle school to talk it up with the girls, but we'll figure some way, Zoom-wise or whatever, to make sure more and more people know about it. The original girls that started the program are now 8th graders. So we'd like to see them come back for a final year, and then obviously we're doing really well of getting, you know, 6th and 7th graders to come on with the program. So we're very excited. We are about to pick the theme for the summer. Kelly picked the theme last summer, but didn't even submit a nomination this year. So this week we'll be announcing our new theme for 2021. All right, girls, I want you to kind of have the final word. And I want you to think about this for a second in terms of, you know, friendships. What would you say to either kids that are going through that difficult middle school time where girls can be, and boys can too, by the way, can be really tough on each other? What's the key you would tell kids in terms of valuing friendships and how important friendships are, and taking a little bit of your history for that? Then I got a follow-up to that. So what do you guys say to those kids, those girls right now?
So I would say that if there's someone in your life that you value and you value your friendship with that person, not to let little disagreements really get in between you two. Just try to be a good person. You know, it's not rocket science. Like, just be a good friend. Don't leave people out intentionally. You know, just like stay loyal to the people that you know are good friends.
What about you, Liz?
I think when you're in middle school and even early high school, everything seems like the end of the world. Like, now looking back on it, it really wasn't. And in a few years, I'm probably going to look back on my senior year and be like, that was so silly. Why was I so stressed out about that? So I just think, like, realizing that and having that perspective, that in a few years everything's going to be okay, and in the long run, if you value your friendship over like silly arguments and disagreements, then it's going to last a while.
Definitely. And the last follow-up to that, because you guys have done a really nice job, what I would say, kind of documenting your friendship. Like when I asked you to show me some pictures of you were younger and things like that, what would you say to people in this electronic age, like how to document your friendship? I mean, you've done it with pictures or other ways that, you know, you can do it. I mean, are there other things that you guys have, mementos from each other that you keep through the years? Tell me about that.
I would say take as many pictures as you can, because looking back on all the memories from elementary and middle school that Alyssa's mom has and my mom has, like, they are so funny to look back on, and it honestly brings you closer because you're always looking back on those memories that you have. And we also used to take lots of videos of ourselves dancing and singing and making a fool of ourselves, and those are also hilarious. So I think definitely like document as much as you can because it's so fun to look back on.
Well, you, Liz.
Not even just pictures, because it was kind of difficult to find pictures. Me and Kelly definitely have a lot more videos of each other being funny than pictures. Like, there are videos that I find of us hysterically laughing, and I don't even remember what we were laughing about at the time, but it's just fun to look back on.
Yeah, you guys definitely are kind of the experts in showing people how to do it. It's pretty amazing, you guys. I am impressed with you guys in terms of your, what I would call, real friendship. It's not a fake friendship. It is what it is, and you guys are great together. And we're obviously gonna miss you here at the youth center. We've got the rest of this school year, and we've got an amazing summer coming up. But then we say goodbye to you, and for both of you, it may even be outside of New England, so may not see you until this holidays or whatever. But I do need to let you know that you two are beloved here, and that you've definitely left your mark here on the youth center. I believe you have a lot more to leave on the youth center legacy for you guys, and I know you guys will do that. So I want to thank you both for coming on the Youth Center podcast and talking about the true meaning of friendship.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, this will be up on in a couple of days, and we will be putting up some pictures that these girls have sent us, which are kind of funny, of a little bit of the history of the two of these girls. So once again, I want to thank these two special young ladies. And as we finish every podcast, we always say too much passion is never enough passion.